A very good evening to all our viewers. I am Dr. Yamini Shah, a literary researcher, curator, academic and editorial advisor, and most importantly, your host for today. Welcome to the curtain raiser of our action-oriented Global Tipping Point Summit, scheduled from November this year to January 2021. We are delighted to see participants from various parts of India as well as other countries. In March 2019, Dr. Kumi S. Vivayana, the concept creator and director of the Global Tipping Point Summit, began work on it as a regular face-to-face summit at the World Trade Center in South Mumbai. But then the pandemic struck. For a while, we kept hoping that things would normalize and we would be able to go ahead with the summit as planned. But by May this year, we decided to make it into an online summit. And today, unfortunately, having had a serious fall, Dr. Vivayana is presently in the hospital and won't be able to join us, hoping she gets better soon. A few guidelines before we begin. If the sound is not clear, please try the following. Increase your speaker volume. If you're connecting from a mobile, connect device audio. And if all else fails, please log out and log in again. We will be muting all the participants throughout the sessions. Please type out your questions in the chat box, which will be addressed at the end of the session. The speaker will answer as many as possible, depending on the time available. We shall now witness a short concept film which tells us how the summit is designed to bring about change.
The online Global Tipping Point Summit from November this year to January 2021 is designed to explore paradigm shifts in education and parenting in an innovative way. Our aim is to create healthy learning and nurturing ecosystems by combining knowledge with self-awareness and wisdom to transform our lack-based consciousness into one rooted in abundance. Who will be attending the summit? Policymakers and education board authorities, principals, teachers, college and university professors, parents, caregivers, librarians, counselors, students, and anyone who's interested in education and parenting. What do we do differently? We have world-class visionaries and thought leaders as speakers who will expound their ideas and point the way in the right direction. They will be supported by far in the belly change facilitators who will suggest effective and practical ways of implementing the ideas of the speakers. At the online summit, participants will be invited to form action groups in the areas of their choice and to create the change they wish to see in the world. By 2025, we hope to reach out to as many people as possible through face-to-face and online talks and workshops. Come, be a part of the change. For more details on the summit, please visit our website www.gtps4change.org. See you there.
I now welcome Ms. Binaifer Sahukar, our esteemed pre-summit speaker for today. Relationship counselor and family therapist, Ms. Binaifer Sahukar has 27 years of experience as a psychotherapist. She has conducted numerous workshops to spread mental health awareness in both educational institutions and corporate organizations. Over to Ms. Sahukar.
Hi, hello everyone. Can I be heard and can I be seen? Am I audible
Yes, please go ahead.
and am I visible?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, because I can't see myself, so I was just wondering. Hey everyone, I'm really excited, super duper excited to be with you today. But I'm also very sad because dear Kumi is not with us today. So ladies and gentlemen, the lady whom you saw in the film is Dr. Kumi Vevaina. And the reason we are all here sharing our screen spaces is because of this dynamic lady. And yesterday at 10 a.m., I got a call from her and I could hear the wailing ambulance siren in the background. And she said, Binaifer, I am on my way to the hospital. I have busted my knee, but don't worry, my team is very competent and the program will continue. So even in her pain, she's been checking in on us. And I totally salute this modern day Rani of Jhansi. So Kumi, from all of us, lots of love, lots of hugs and prayer for your speedy recovery. So today, before we jump into parenting, okay, I think we need to look at ourselves. So I'm going to approach this topic in a two-pronged way. Okay, so one is that we're going to look at ourselves and look at our own emotional regulation. Because if you are calm, if you are composed and sorted, then you will be able to handle your kids in a desirable way. We've got 90 minutes, which is ample of time. I will try and finish as soon as I can so that we have greater interaction. Okay. So today everybody is working from home, they're working for home, and despite saving on the commute time and saving on the lunch time in the cafeteria, we still seem to be burning the midnight lamp. And why is that so? And when is enough enough? And when is it time to shut the laptop? So let's take a look at work-life integration and how do we achieve it. And we'll be talking about emotional regulation, and then we'll be talking about parenting. And I will be talking about parenting from a perspective of solution-focused brief therapy, because that is what I practice. So before we get started, let's have a quick icebreaker, okay? I'd like you to take a quick minute and just type in one word, what area would you like to strike balance? So could it be exercise or eating clean or music or painting or dancing or whatever? Okay, would someone read the responses? We have time management, exercise, me time. Yep. What else? Reading. Kanika is here. Managing my health. Yeah. Is somebody wanting to share? Does somebody want to read it out?
Mind management, health management, food habits, exercise, fitness, time for self, music, recreation, game, health, healthy sleep routine, writing, self-management, meditation, me time.
Right.
Schedule. I think that's
Okay. Okay. I think that's a plethora of responses that we have received, but it's mostly to do with me time. Okay. So next slide, please. So there are different modules of psychotherapy, okay? And the oldest and the most used, of course, the oldest is psychoanalysis, which hardly anyone uses today, because that meant that when I was 5 years old, my mama gave me a whack on the bum, and that's why I'm so disturbed when I'm 30. It really doesn't work that way anymore. People are more in the here and now, okay? So solution focus is more present oriented, but most psychotherapists practice cognitive behavior therapy. Now, cognitive behavior therapy is all getting into the problem analysis, but solution focus is different. And the reason it is brief is because we bypass the problem. We don't spend time talking about the problem. And yet, if you look at relationships, when you have a fight with someone you love, Invariably, you will never discuss the problem at hand. You will talk about 10 years ago when I married you, your mother said this to me, or 6 months ago you forgot our anniversary. And you regurgitate the past, which is quite pointless. So solution focus is very watertight. It is very here and now. And the reason it is brief is because you bypass the problem and you focus on hope and you focus on what is the outcome that you desire. Think about it. Even today in the COVID situation, it is a global pandemic. Okay. So laboratories across the world are racing against time to find a cure and a vaccine for COVID. 95% of your research is in finding a cure and a vaccine, and only 5% is looking at how did the virus happen and how did it spread and why did it spread. So the how and the why is not as important as let's look at the way forward. Okay. So most times problem, solution have probably nothing to do with each other. And if you really get into problem analysis, it is something like you tie a knot, you untie a knot, you tie a knot, you untie a knot. But the composition of the ribbon or the string remains the same. Let me give you another example. If you drop milk, they say cry over spilled milk. If you drop a liquid on the floor, do you actually sit down and you take a spoon and you put it back into your glass? No. You just take a mop and you wipe it up and you move forward. You don't get stuck in the past. You don't get stuck into the problem. And the most taunting, haunting two words that keep swimming in our head are these dangerous words called what if, okay? What if I get infected? What if my loved ones get infected? What if I die? What if my loved ones die? What if my job is no longer there? What if? It's like an echo chamber. And if you shut up and if you repress your thoughts and you keep it inside you, okay, those faulty thoughts are going round and round in your head, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until you're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't handle it. So how about if you tweak the word if into the word is? So instead of thinking about what if, because the combinations and permutations are infinite, ye bhi ho sakta hai, wo bhi ho sakta hai, you can go mad, okay? But if you replace the word if with what is happening right now? Right now, I'm healthy. Right now, I'm safe. Right now, we are all in home isolation. Right now, I still have my job and I still have the money coming in on the 1st or the 10th of the month in my bank. So if you think about the here and now and you stay grounded in reality, you feel a lot reassured. You feel a lot calmer. Because the present is what you can look at. The present is what you can act upon. But the past is gone. So if you looked at the film Lion King, where Rafiki speaks with Simba, and he says, the past can't hurt. You can either learn from it or run from it. And I think Disney movies are such fun movies without being preachy, and they have these very profound messages, okay? So the past is something that clock has just gone. I mean, it's completed its circle and that time is over and there is nothing you can do about it. Likewise, for the future, you have absolutely no control over the future. But you can plan in the present, you can strategize in the present, and then roll with it in the future. Okay? So being solution focused means being present focused, thinking about what is rather than what if. Okay? And hope, the most powerful word in this therapy is hope. Because ladies and gentlemen, hope is transformative, okay? Hope is extremely powerful. And we're all very worried. So I'm doing webinars, I'm doing corporate webinars literally every day. So last week, except for Thursday, today is Sunday, today I'm working. Except for Thursday, all the top industrial giants in the country are asking me to talk about the same thing. How do we deal with COVID? What does the new normal look like? How do we deal with depression? Preparing to reintegrate into the workforce, because everybody is very worried about what will happen when the unlock happens 100%. Okay, right now it's baby steps, but when it happens 100%, what is the new normal going to look like? I mean, how many shifts will our school have so that on the bus, in the class, so that our children can have that social distancing? And even in the corporate world, okay, so all our security gates will be disabled, all the biometric tests will be disabled because you don't want to touch the surfaces, and there will be sanitization and there will be masks. But how will we distance between the cubicles, and how will we touch the common surfaces like the printers and the canteen and stuff like that? It is something which all of us are very stressed about. And most important is that the lifeline of our country is the railways and the bus. Okay, so how on earth, with people lattawing in the compartment and the bus, how are we going to practice social distancing? So the new normal can cause this great spin of what if in our head. Next slide, please. So although I work for Viacom 18, which is the competitor company, I love Disney, and I really think that, I mean, all their songs, Hakuna Matata and Pocahontas and all of them, they're such fun and extremely profound messages. So here's Rafiki giving his advice and saying, yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or you can learn from it. Next, please. Okay, now here's what I want you to do. So let's get into, so this is what solution focuses. It's just an introduction into the therapy, and you'll be hearing a lot of it as we progress. The two main emotions that really bother us and get us into hot soup is anger and fear. Okay, so I will be tackling the two A's. There's no point talking about happiness, but I'll be talking about anger and anxiety. Okay, so very quickly, I would like you to text, okay, what is your response when you are extremely angry? Okay, so somebody said crying, somebody said sulk, very nice, hitting, very nice, screaming, okay, shouting and crying. Okay, so you shout and then you just go, you cry, crying, quiet, oh, you just go silent, scream, scream and shout, quiet, scream and cry, extreme mute, what? Extreme mute lock, quietly, screaming, keep quiet, sulking, shouting at a family member, awesome about past differences, feel frustrated, banging something, very nice, very nice. Frustrated and shouting. Introspect. Silent. Okay, thank you. Thank you. We get the gist. Okay. I think introspection comes much later. That very zen state of introspection comes much later. I'm saying that when you have raw anger, like you see this little white dude over here, okay? When you just want to go and hit someone in front of you, okay? So most of us have three patterns of expressing anger. Direct, where you shout, you scream, you give one thappad, okay, so that's direct. Then is indirect, where you become extremely passive aggressive. So your boyfriend will say, darling, what's wrong? What did I do? And you say, whatever, I don't know, you figure out. And he's like, but maine kiya kya hai? Okay, so that is indirect expression of anger. And then, as somebody said, take it out on a family member. That is very nice. That is to do with displacement. So if your boss were to shout at you, okay, you come home, and when your wife opens the door, okay, you're very grumpy, and when she serves you food, you will criticize her cooking, and you will say this is crappy food, and then she is burning with the criticism. And if your kid comes in the way and says, mommy, mommy, whatever, you will give one tap to the kid. Okay, so that is displacement of anger. So we have direct expression of anger, we have indirect expression of anger, we have displacement. And a fourth very disturbing trend that we are looking at young people in our clinic is self-harm. Okay, so we have young people who come and they cut themselves, or they yank their hair out, or they burn themselves, okay, because they're so emotionally numb with pain, because they're so chronically depressed that they feel that in order to remind themselves that they are alive, they cut themselves. And when they are showering, and when that hot water touches their scars, they go like, and I tell them, the kids, why do you do that? I mean, why can't you just put some red ink, or why can't you, so they will cut themselves over here, which is to hurt themselves, but they will not cut the arterial nerve, which is to commit suicide. Okay. So I said, but why don't you just put some rubber band and, just go ping so that you get that hurt? Or why don't you put red ink? And they say, Binaifer, are you mad? We need to feel actual pain, because हमको दर्द से राहत मिलती है. दर्द देने से दर्द से राहत मिलती है, which is so ironical. Okay. So self-harm is something which we are, so smoking up, scratching yourself, OD, all that comes under the umbrella of self-harm. Next slide, please. So then, between direct, indirect, displacement, and self-harm, what do you think is the best? The best is to express. Never, ever repress. Okay? Because if you hold it all in, you are going to suffer. So either you will hold it in and you will control yourself, and then you will, but it will keep growing. Those thoughts will keep growing in your echo chamber. And that resentment will just grow and grow. And then in the most inopportune moment, you will burst, you will explode. And those angry words will leave your mouth, okay? And you will not be able to hold your tongue. There is no recall button, there is no mute button. And your brain will say, shut up, shut up, shut up, but you will not be able to control yourself. And then those cracks are forever in your relationship. So either you will explode or you will implode. You will burst from within. So you will get things like hypertension and PCOD and palpitation and stuff like that. Okay. So always express, never repress. It's always better to speak up, get it out of your system rather than shutting up. But the tongue going out of control happens in expression too. Okay, so very nice remark. There is a big difference between the spectrum of tongue getting out of control, that is aggression, and shutting up, that is submissive. There is something called assertive. So if you are letting out steam at the right time, before it reaches its peak, you will be able to express your disagreement in an extremely calm and composed way. So you will say, excuse me, that's not cool. Or don't shout at me, I'm not deaf. You will tell your bully or whoever it is, the perpetrator or the authority in a very calm way to back off. So that's a very good comment. Now, let's move towards worry. So that's anger. Let's look at what worry looks like. Okay, what does anxiety look like? Coming back to anxiety, this is what anxiety looks like. Those who are suffering from panic, so I said P stands for psychological, A stands for alimentary, okay, where in our exam halls we just see kids going and vomiting on their paper. Or we see people having irritable bowel syndrome. So that is the alimentary part of it. N stands for neurological, where you feel dizzy. And the person, like even in an assembly line or on a sports ground, will not crumble and faint. They will just go like that without warning. So that is the neurological part. I stands for inspiratory. Inspiratory is where you are hyperventilating. And the way you breathe is like that you breathe. Okay, don't turn the slide. Please go back to the earlier slide. Thank you. Okay, so that is inspiratory. And C stands for cardiovascular. That is very clear. Palpitations. Your heart goes thug, 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 thug. And the anxiety attack will mimic a heart attack. Okay, it is that chronic. So people will say like, I'm getting a heart attack. You will be rushed to the emergency room. They take the ECG. The ECG is absolutely normal. So this is how scary a panic attack looks. Okay. A panic attack for people who have these chronic anxiety problems, okay, it's like hanging at the edge of a cliff. And imagine there is a deep, rapid river underneath with crocodiles, okay? It is so scary. Now, when you're hanging at the edge with your worry, with your anxiety, you want somebody who will hold your hand and who will pull you up. You want somebody who will hug you and say, I'm there for you. Not somebody who's going to give you advice. Not somebody who's going to say, I told you so. Okay? Not somebody who will say, breathe, breathe, meditate karo, yoga karo. Arey, this is nothing. I will talk to you about my troubles. You don't want that. You want understanding. You just want somebody to quietly sit next to you and hold you. So this is what anxiety looks like. And if you want to support somebody with a panic attack, okay, again, it really depends. So like some teenagers, for example, want to be hugged, want to be held, want to be rocked, you know, they want to be soothed. And there are some who are like, don't touch me, okay, but sit next to me. Don't go away from me. Don't close the door and go away. So you have to ask. The best thing to do is ask the person that, do you want me to sit with you? Do you want me to touch you? Do you want me to rub your back? Do you want me to crack open a window? Do you want to walk around? Okay, so you need to just check with the person. That's the best thing to do. Next, please. Next slide, please. So, if you are prone to a panic attack, it is very important that in your bag, in your purse, you carry an emotional first aid kit. Okay? So, if required, if it is very, very intense, then you would naturally see a psychiatrist who would prescribe anxiolytics, and you would carry your emergency SOS pill. Okay? So the minute you feel the onset, and you know, your body responds very differently, you know, you can feel the wave of panic going within you. So before that happens, before it becomes a full-blown attack, you take that goli and you calm down. So you take that SOS pill. What else can you put in your emotional first aid kit? So some people get very soothed with soft fabric, okay? So if you have some favorite soft satiny fabric, you keep that. Or you have those squeezy balls, you know, those smiley balls for 5 rupees that you get. So you can play with that squeezy ball. Some people feel very comforted with something sweet. So keep some khajur or chocolate or something like that in your purse. Or you could carry a brown paper bag, because if you're hyperventilating, if your breathing goes, okay, what you do is you take a brown paper bag, like you have in the airlines. You know, you have that. It's not just for puke, it's even for people who panic due to flying, who have flying phobia. So you take that bag and you cover your mouth and your nose and you keep inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. When you inhale, exhale, in that bag, it will fill up with carbon dioxide. And nobody knows why, but research studies tell you that carbon dioxide can actually help you to get centered and focused. Okay, so carry that brown paper bag with you. If you've forgotten to carry the brown paper bag, then just cup your hands, put it around your mouth and nose, and inhale, exhale, okay? Or you bend forward and let the blood rush into your head, okay? So that you're oxygenating your brain. And these are the first aid things that you can do. And of course, social support, very, very important. Phone a friend, phone someone that you know. And or in your phone, you carry a music list, because music also changes brain chemistry. So carry your phone, speak to a friend, take your medication, reach out to someone, okay? Because as Winnie the Pooh says, remember, like our dear Kumi, okay, you are braver than you believe, you are stronger than you seem, and definitely smarter than you think. And that's what I do day in and day out, day in and day out. When I'm talking to people, and now it's all digital counseling, okay? I have people coming to me saying that they are hopeless, worthless, no good. And I have to just help them change the way they look at themselves in the mirror. So from their stories, I have to pick up their accomplishments. I have to pick up their strengths. I have to remind them of their long forgotten strengths. And they are off they go like a confident Pooh Bear. Okay, next please. Okay, now I think I've talked enough. I'd like to take a little break and do a little exercise. So if I could have a volunteer, please. Could I have a volunteer? Anyone? Can we unmute someone who can be a part of this exercise? Okay. Hi.
Hello. Hi, my name is Shweta Akhani.
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 Okay.
Right.
Okay. Great. So Shweta, you will be my partner in the exercise.
Yeah, sure.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So Shweta, here's my question. Okay. Suppose you woke up tomorrow, and listen, guys, this is for all of you. Okay. So Shweta and I will be talking, but I want you to, Shweta, you are the one with the puppy, right?
Pardon?
You are the one with the puppy image.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. You don't want to put yourself on the video?
My video is not working,
Your
unfortunately.
video is not working. Okay. All right. All right. So I keep looking at the puppy and talking. Okay. So, so Shweta, okay. So this is a question for everybody, but Shweta will be answering. Okay. All of us on the 31st of December 2019. All of us made a New Year resolution, and it could be anything. It could be I want to lose weight, or I want to be more calm, or I want to spend time with my family, whatever is your New Year resolution. Supposing, Shweta, you woke up tomorrow and you just found yourself as the very best version of you.
Right.
What would you notice that would let you know that you're very happy with that? Okay, so there are certain days where you just get up and you feel today is going to be my day, today is going to be a great day. So
True.
when you wake up in the morning, Shweta, what is the first thought? When you open your eyes, what is the first thought that will come to your head?
Well, let me describe myself a little bit and then I could answer that question. Is that okay?
No. Don't describe yourself. Tell me on a day when you feel particularly confident, even if you're already confident, if you're
Okay.
super, okay, on a day that you know belongs to you,
Right.
what is the first thought that will come when you wake up in the morning?
There will be no problems today. Oh God, thank God. There will be no problems today. My day is going to
Okay.
go great.
Okay.
That's the
So what
thought.
will you do? What will be the action?
I'll do my daily course as without having any panic attacks, as I currently have one.
Oh, okay. So you do suffer from panic attacks. Okay.
Yes.
And okay, and just okay. So let me just quickly tell me what would be the best version of you.
Well, I'm an animal lover, so I actually go out of my way helping, and when cases don't get solved, it puts me into a panic attack. Oh God, I couldn't help one more soul. You
So the
know,
best version of you would be the opposite of panic attack.
yes, I would love to help, at the same time stay calm.
Okay. So the best version of me is help and stay calm.
Yes.
So you woke up on the morning and you know that today is a day where I can help people and I will stay calm. So you will immediately get out of bed. No, don't turn the slide, please. Stay in the earlier slide. Go back to the earlier slide, please.
Sorry, I'm trying to. I'll just.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so Shweta, you and I will continue. So you will get out of bed, and will there be a difference in the way you're brushing your teeth, Shweta?
Yes, I will be more focused.
You'd be more focused. Focus on what? On the way you're brushing your teeth?
Yes, on everything probably. I mean, today when I get up in the morning, it's like I don't pay attention to anything that's going around. There's only a chatter in my mind. Will that cat survive? Will my job work fine?
Fantastic.
Will that dog which I admitted to the hospital be fine? I mean, it's taking a toll over my health, to be honest.
Correct. You have a big heart. You have a generous heart. And instead of
And it's
focusing
not
on...
helping me. It's not helping.
Okay. So you would focus on the sensation of the toothpaste, the lovely minty flavor of the
True.
toothpaste and the coolness of the toothpaste, and you'd be aware of your environment and you would get up with zest. And then when you go to prepare your, what do you have? Tea, coffee, what do you have?
I have usually a cup of coffee in the morning.
Okay, so on a day when you know that you're the very best version of yourself, that is helpful and calm,
right?
How would you be enjoying your coffee versus a bad day? How would your coffee experience be?
I would actually feel the taste of the coffee that I'm having. Today I just gulp it down.
Excellent. So you would enjoy and savor the warmth and the flavor of the coffee. Okay. And how would you dress, Shweta? I don't mean fashion. I don't mean what you would wear.
True,
Like
true, true.
what is the feeling when you're dressing up and looking at yourself in the mirror?
I would choose my clothes, the crystals which I wear, or probably I look a little more in the mirror, which I hardly do nowadays.
So nice, so nice, very nice, very nice. Okay, and who else close to you would? Okay, now the next slide. And who else that is close to you would notice these changes in you? And they could be
My
anyone. They could be your family, your friends, even your pets. Because your dogs and cats can also pick up your good mood, bad mood.
very
So,
true, very
huh.
true.
So someone
So my
close to
mother
you who would
probably would.
mama. Okay. So
Right.
what would mom notice that Shweta is exceptionally happy today, calm today?
Yes, I mean she immediately notices even without saying a word. I mean I don't know how.
So what would be different? What would be the clues that you would give
I could
her?
see a calm feeling on her face as well. I mean when she sees me in anxiety, she also kind of goes over that lull.
So the absence of anxiety in you will bring a calm mummy. So everything, that is a very good point, Shweta, because everything we do has a ripple effect on people. Our good mood, our bad mood, our happiness, our confidence, our anxiety, our anger, okay? Everything will have a ripple effect on the people around us. And that is the point of this exercise. Thank you so much, Shweta.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks. And
So you
thanks for
see,
taking up this topic. It really is something that's the need of the hour. Thank you.
awesome, good. I'm so glad it resonated with you. So when you wake up with that thought program that today is going to be a good day, today I'm going to be the best version of myself, it will have a ripple effect on your actions. Okay. So the way Shweta brushes her teeth, she will now be more mindful instead of just going through the motions of the day. Instead of gulping her coffee, she savors her coffee. So life becomes, you start noticing the little details. You start noticing the extraordinariness in ordinary things. So you will stop to smell the flowers, you will stop to admire the greenery, you will stop to hug your mum versus just going through the day, or not. You just people who are extremely depressed will just slam the alarm and go back to sleep. When I do phone counseling, okay, I can actually see the connection between mood and dressing. Okay. So if somebody on the video across me has put a little bit of lipstick, put a nice blouse, okay, I know that the person has made an effort. Whereas people who are in deep depression will be sitting on a rumpled bed and they will say things like, I have not showered for 6 days. I have not washed my hair for a month. Okay. And you will see crumpled tissue papers lying around, pizza boxes lying around. So there is definitely a connection between your mood and your unkempt or well-groomed appearance. Okay. So, for example, right now, before this webinar started, I put on my expensive miracle perfume. Normally, I just put my Body Shop perfume after my shower, but this I put because I want to look good for you, and this is for myself. It's not like you are in my clinic and you can smell me, or I am in your home or your conference room that you can smell me. It's just to pump up my own confidence that I do this. Okay, next please. So we talked about balance. We talked about sorting ourselves out so that we can be better parents. Now, I understand there are a lot of single people joining us in the webinar. So there are two ways you can deal with this. Either you could deal with it if you're a single person and you don't have kids. You can look at it as a way of dealing with your parents, because now, we have a lot of senior parents, and in lockdown, they are also becoming very difficult and grumpy. So you could look at it as a child to the parent, or you could look as the reverse, child behavior management. Okay. Man, parenting is tough. Okay. And parenting is like this picture. You see, in the pure science, 2 plus 2 will always give you 4. But in parenting, there is no formula for behavior management. So sometimes grounding will work. Like if I say no pudding for you, and they say, oh, mommy, sorry, please. Or taking away the remote or taking away the phone would work. But the next time I take away the remote, I have confiscated the remote and say no remote for you until you do your homework. But if you do that again and again, they're going to say, fine, take it. I don't care. Okay. I have seen in nursery schools, tiny little 3-year-old, 4-year-old kids who refuse to write. They just put their pen down and they go on a strike. I will not write. And the teacher is begging the child and saying, I will give you a star, I will give you a smiley face. And the child is saying, no. And the mother is crying and the father is saying, I'll give you one tight whack, but the kid refuses to write. So, I mean, they can just dig in their heels and nothing can work, because if you really push them to the limit and if you overuse one particular discipline method, they will go into a rebellion mode. Okay, so sometimes talking helps, sometimes rationalizing helps, sometimes rewards help. So you have to play around with different techniques. But the most important thing that helps is talking, negotiating. Okay, a lot of people in the audience get very upset when I talk about negotiating. They take it as like, it's like as if you're negotiating with a terrorist. But it's a different world we are living in, okay? And this is what democratic parenting is all about. You have to collaborate with your kid, and even the consequences, even the punishments have to be discussed. That if you don't do this, what is the consequence? Okay? So parenting is like flying a kite, okay? You don't, it's just with trial and error that you have to realize how much of rope and how much of slack can I cut, so that the kite will soar, the child will soar, and give freedom to the child so that the child soars towards excellence. But when the winds of deviation come and I feel my child is going off course, when do I pull that string back again? So that fine balance, that fine balance between freedom and pulling back is the difficult part of parenting. So yesterday, in fact, my 6 p.m. Appointment was this 25-year-old guy, chronic depression, okay, unable to study, unable to get out of bed, and he was flanked by both his parents. And the joint therapy session was very difficult because the parents were saying, we are so confused. We really don't know that when is it interference and when is it intervention. Because if you don't ask how he is, it is like, you don't love me, you are neglecting me. And if you are asking too much, then you are nagging. So it is very difficult to balance. And I think the best way to balance is ask the kid. Like, do you want me to remind you? Do you want me to hug you? Do you want me to sit with you? Do you want to talk about this? Do you want to be left alone? Next slide, please. Cardinal rule of communication, always, always, always. Okay, whether you are a parent, whether you are in a pocket setup, always keep the door open. Okay, and I know of parents who don't talk to their children for 4 days, 5 days. It's ridiculous. Okay, so even if you're very angry with the child and you want to give a cold shoulder to the child, which is fine, at least have functional conversation with the child. You can say, I'm very upset with you. I'm very disappointed with you. But you continue to talk with the kid. You will say things like, come on, dinner is ready, or get on with your homework. You don't just stop talking, okay? Next, please. So, what works? As I said, democratic parenting works. It's a very different world that we live in, okay? Now, I'm 50 years old. So in our days, I went to a convent school where nuns would take a walk with a ruler, and we would have a choral recitation of our multiplication tables or French conjugations. And if there was one wrong answer that they heard, sack, we would get one. And we didn't complain, and we didn't go to social media and, give these media bites about being abused. I mean, that's what worked back then, okay? So we would get one spank and we would shut up. But the thing is, with spanking, the short-term benefits are immediate, okay? Like immediately the child will back off. But in the long run, okay, either your kid will become shameless and the kid will say, Maro, Maro, kya karega? And as the child becomes bigger and stronger, the child will probably hold your hand and twist it, okay? Or slap you back, which you don't want. Or the child will figure ways to cheat and do it behind your back. So spanking, very bad idea, okay? It doesn't work. People say, how can you negotiate, especially the older parents, the older generation. They say, how can you negotiate with children? I think you have to, because the world that we grew up in and the present world with social media is very, very different. And I honestly don't know how these children are surviving with social media. I mean, it is so difficult. Hats off to these kids as to how they keep their mental balance with social media. Okay. So it's all about collaborating. It's all about talking to your children, and you have to treat them at an equal level. Okay. So there is a Goldilocks rule. The Goldilocks rule is where you break it up, where there is a very difficult task. So you will break things into tiny little doable bits, okay? What we call as baby steps, one step at a time. So supposing, everybody's favorite food is normally a pizza. So supposing if you order a big 12-inch pizza and I say, here, finish it. Shruti, I'm saying Shruti because Shruti is my last volunteer, okay? So I say, Shruti, finish this pizza. And Shruti will eat the first piece and she'll say, yum. And then she'll have the second piece. And by the third piece, she'll be like, oh my God, I can't eat this anymore. But if I cut that pizza and I say, Shruti, have some of it for breakfast, have some of it for lunch, have some of it for dinner, she will savor it, she'll enjoy it, she'll digest it. So for any change that you want to bring with your child, you have to introduce baby steps, okay? You can't just expect like one ta-da-da-da moment where big change will happen. So if you tell the child, tidy your room or make your bed every day, you have to notice that behavior. So even if the child has put slipshod, vaka chuka bed sheet, it's okay. Even if your child has put pillows not properly aligned, it's fine. It is a baby step. It is a Goldilocks rule, okay? The second is that you need to view your child with the lens of capability. So imagine that these are magic specs. And when I wear these magic specs, the person in front of me, I see them as extremely capable people. I believe that anyone can do anything. So when your child says, Mommy, I can't do this, don't believe your child. Do not believe your child. You have to believe in your child. So, you might have, sometimes we use these rhetorical questions with our children, where the child says, Mom, I really suck at math. And you will say, who got 7 out of 10 last week? So you see, it's reminding the child that I'm not a loser. I'm not a failure. Third point, demonstrate resilience. Okay? I think the epitome of resilience, which I'm completely blown over, is our dear Dr. Kumi. Okay, so despite all that aching pain and that busted knee, I think she still joined us for this webinar, which is absolutely awesome. Okay, she just refuses to stay in bed and take rest and relax. She just has to be there, because the show must go on. So be like Kumi. Okay, stay calm and be like Kumi. Now, what does resilience look like? Let me do a quick comparison. Millions and millions of years ago, there were creatures like a dinosaur that walked the planet Earth. And then there was a meteor that came and banged onto the planet Earth, and there were changes in our environment. These guys could not adapt. They stayed very rigid. They could not adapt, and so they died. The dinosaur has become extinct. You no longer see the dinosaur, except in movies like Jurassic Park or the museum. On the other hand, the cockroach, okay, this exoskeletal structure, the cockroach, has been on this earth as long as the dinosaurs have, but you still see cockroaches. Why? Because cockroaches are extremely adaptable and hardy. They can survive in cold. They can survive in extreme heat. They can, you can open the tap and flush them down your drain, and again after 2 minutes, the cockroach will come out. You can stamp on the cockroach and all the intestines will be coming out and the guts will be coming out, but still the cockroach will walk. The damn cockroach doesn't give up. Be like the cockroach. Teach your child to be as tough and resilient as the cockroach. Because if you think that the school world has bullies, man, the corporate world is even worse, okay? If you continue to be scared, they will chew you up and spit you out. So you have to learn to be resilient and teach your child resilience. Talk, and talk, very, very important. But most important, even more important than talking, is listen with your heart. Okay? So you have to listen to the words. You have to listen to the feelings, not the words. Okay? Train your brain, train your eyes, not just to look at the corners, but to look beyond the corners. Not just to read the lines, but to read between the lines. Because when you pick up, and I do believe, you know what, no psychotherapist, no teacher is the expert. I believe you parents are the experts in your child's life. So sometimes in open day meetings, you know, teachers can be horrible and they can make you feel like an absolute bad parent. But I want you to remember one thing. You are the expert in your child's life. You best understand what is it that makes your child tick. You understand every nuance of their mood. So listen to your heart, listen to your gut instinct. You can take advice from your pediatrician and your counselor and your teachers and your adults, but the final call is yours because you best understand your child. Okay? So somebody agrees with me about the open day. Okay? That's why I was wondering how some parents are not able to tell if their child is doing drugs. Correct. Yeah, so you have to look for these red flag areas. And when we say talk, I even mean talking about difficult, sensitive topics. So just as you would talk to your child about drugs, just as you would talk to your child about smoking, just as you would talk to your child about wearing a mask in COVID safety, I think it's very important to also talk to your child about sex. Okay, sex education, very, very important. At what age do you think a child becomes sexually aware? Can you type it? What age does a child become sexually aware? Nowadays, very early. Yeah, but give me a number. What do you mean by very early? 6? No, wrong. 6 is too old. 10 to 12, very old. 3, no. 2, 7, no. 8, no. 5, no. 10, 11, 5, 4. Since birth. The answer is since birth. Okay. So you might have seen little babies playing with their penises. Okay. And the mama says, "Chichi, piti ko haath nahi lagane ka." Okay. But this is a kind of self-pleasure. Okay. Like masturbating. All right. We have little children in nursery who, when they are very, very upset, just as they suck their thumb, just as they rock themselves, they will also be masturbating. Okay. And today, especially with social media, I mean, you just click a button and poof, like pornography can pop up. You know, you could be innocently looking for something else and something else can pop up. So sex education is very, very important. In fact, we recommend that as soon as a child is in the vocabulary stage, it is very important for you to start talking about sex in a age appropriate manner. So for a child who is, I never agreed with Freud. Yeah, sometimes a pen is just a pen. Okay, so you know, you would start with good touch, bad touch. You would start with the difference between a girl's body and a boy's body, especially when they go to the loo together and they say, you know, put your panty down, tum apna dikhao, mujhe dikhao, all that happens in the nursery schools. So you need to talk to them about good touch, bad touch, the difference between boys and girls. Then when they are pre-puberty, you need to talk to them about menstruation and feminine hygiene and the corresponding changes that take place in boys. And by the time they are about 10 years, 11 years, you have to talk to them about everything. You'll talk to them about AIDS, you'll talk to them about pregnancy, intercourse, childbirth, everything, everything. Don't wait for the school to do it in 8th standard, 9th standard, because by then the children already know, but they have a lot of wrong information. If you can talk to your kid about sex, your kid can come and talk to you about anything. So when your child starts dating and when your child makes a wrong turn, which they will, you want them to come and say, "Mom, Dad, sorry, I goofed up." Okay, you want them to come to you. You don't want them to go and take advice of some stupid friend. Okay, and once you open the doors of communication, you can't say, "Shut up, ye tumhari umar hai kya? I'm not going to answer this question." Then you have to answer it. And if you don't know, because children can ask you really googly questions. If you don't know, don't fudge the answer. Say, "Okay, I don't know. I will look it up. I will speak to a doctor. I'll speak to a gynac, and I will get back to you." Okay. So talking is more important, but listening is even more important. Okay. Next, I think we are done. Next slide. Okay, any questions? This is my favorite part. Next slide. Next, yeah. Okay, so I'm ready for the favorite part. Let's have the questions.
After a brilliant and engaging presentation by Ms. Sahukar and having deeply missed Dr. Vivayana up and about with this presentation, I now request Shalanta Mascarenis to kindly lead the Q&A.
Hello, Binaifer. Okay,
Hi.
I wish this was an face-to-face session. Trust me, I think you would have seen our expressions nodding in agreement. I was itching. I wanted to, there were so many times that I wanted to type in the chat box or, actually unmute and speak. It was brilliant, absolutely engrossed. And I think we identified with every word that you said. So some of the questions here, a load of questions, interesting questions and pertinent ones. In fact, difficult for me to even, our viewers are, I think they've heard everything that you said and a lot to come to your way. Let me begin. So yes, I'm a teacher by profession and your teacher comment hit me. So I think I will start off with the student questions first. What if the child is really bad at math? Then how do you look with the lens of capability without pushing the child? One of the questions from our viewers.
Okay, so if the child, I don't think the child is bad at math. I think you need to change the way you teach the child. So every child can be instructed in a way that they get it. So can you use music? Can you use simplification of the concept? Can you, instead of, if the child doesn't have the speed, say the child is dyscalculate, and if the child doesn't have the speed to finish 10 sums, you give 3 so that at least the child is motivated to get something right. If the child has an LD certificate, please let them avail of the calculator. Please let them use the computer.
I definitely would second that, being a teacher. Another question here, I think on the same lines, something similar. I would not say on the same lines. You say rewards help, okay, to help this with students. What exactly qualifies to be a reward? Because sometimes reward can be perceived as a bribe, so then that's the fine line there.
Okay, so you know what? I'll tell you a very nice, I'll tell you something which is supported by empirical evidence, okay? So there is a lady by the name of Dr. Fredrickson who has, and you can Google it, it's called the Build and Broaden theory, okay? So she had an experimental group and she had a control group, okay? And she had this experiment where as the people came in, the participants came in, some of them were greeted very warmly and then they were given a reward. So it was like a bag, it was a transparent cellophane bag with chocolates in it and a very pretty ribbon. So one group, the control group, was greeted warmly and given the reward before they went into the lab. The second group was just kind of neglected, ignored, no reward, okay? Then they were given a task. So the task was like sitting in front of a computer screen like this. And there were all these tiny, tiny, tiny little images. And they had to identify one particular image, say like a red card or a tree or something like that. You know what, Shalanta? The group that was given the reward immediately sat in front of their computer screen because they had their positive feelings heightened. They were feeling very good about themselves. They were very confident. So their focus came. And as soon as they sat in front of the computer, they said, there's the car, there's the tree, super. But the ones who were the control group, the ones who were ignored, who did not get a reward, they were like, where is it? Where is it? And they could not perform well. What do you think happens in the corporate world? The entire system of bonus, promotions is on a reward system, right? So I think human beings are geared towards reward. We function better with reward rather than with punishments. A rap on the knuckle will make you do avoidant behavior. They will, and kids are damn smart. They will figure 1,000 ways of doing it behind your back.
Absolutely. Okay. Two more in terms of, I think we'll pertain to children. One is, how do you talk to a 5-year-old about anxiety? And another one that follows that is, when caught lying, my kid had a panic attack. How do I deal with this without provoking another attack?
Okay, so the most important thing is, how do you talk to a child about anxiety?
How do you talk to a 5-year-old, basically, like the younger kids about anxiety?
I think whether it is a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 50-year-old person, I think it's just reminding the person that it's okay not to feel okay. So there are times when we all go a little crazy and we all lose control, and that's fine. You don't frown upon it. The second thing is, it is now this is easier said than done, but it is very important for the mother or the father or whoever is the soother, okay, to stay calm themselves. So if you start falling into pieces and you go like, oh, what's happening and why are you crying? Or you're saying, shut up, you are stoking the fire. You know, it's like if you want to douse the fire and you oxygenate it, the bhadka will increase, okay? But if you are calm and if you pour water on the fire and you say, it's okay, darling, just breathe, relax, and you hold the kid, even if the kid is scratching you and, you know, pulling your hair and stuff like that. But if you stay calm and you're rocking the kid and you're saying, shh, it's okay, stay calm, difficult as it is, that's the best way to curb your kids' panic attack. With younger children, you know, swathing them, like you would swathe a newborn, okay, also helps. So nowadays, a lot of occupational therapists, even in British schools, have a swathing period. So when a kid is absolutely hyperactive, has an attention deficit, okay, they go into these rooms where they just swathe the child with a blanket and they just let them lie down so that time out helps them to get sorted. Because otherwise there's so much of sensory overload and so much of sensory stimulation that lying in a quiet room away from the noisy classroom, swathed, kind of composes them and calms them down. Okay, so playing music, darkening the room, swathing them, holding them, removing them from the disturbing. And you know, kids can panic in a, say, crowded shopping mall. So I think immediately pick up your kid, even if everybody is okay, saying, oh my God, what kind of a mother is she, you know, or a father. You pick up the kid and take them to a quiet spot, even if it is a loo or a car or whatever, or a lift, wherever. The quietest spot that you can possibly find on a railway platform or a shopping mall.
Thank you. I think you've probably not glanced at the chat, but there is someone who's mentioned they're very happy with the fact that you answered this question really well. And I think on the same vein, I'm going to take this next question. And nowadays we have a trend. I mean, we are fortunate right now to hear you actually give me an answer for this. But there's also a trend currently with attending parenting classes or reading a number of parenting books. Do you really think that helps? I think
whatever works for you.
Yes.
Listen, as I said, you take advice from whatever you want. Okay, so whether it is a class or a webinar or a pediatrician or a mother-in-law, wherever. But finally, you follow your inner compass.
True. Thank you. Another thing that I'd come down to is, okay, so we have, for example, certain illnesses, okay, that we have an anxiety building up the moment you diagnose a particular illness. So then how do we deal with anxiety attacks, you know, that are a consequence of that? The moment
you hear about the illness.
Yes, the moment you know about the illness.
Which is not anxiety, so it could be anything.
It could be anything else, yes.
Let's say COVID, for example. Okay?
Oh,
you
yes,
remember what I said in the beginning, the what if, okay? So instead of thinking about what if, you know, if the person has COVID, for example, you think about the what if. So let's say that, and let's talk about COVID, because COVID is like number one on everybody's mind, okay? So, oh my God, I've got COVID, symptomatic, asymptomatic, whatever, doesn't matter. If you think about the what if, the combinations, permutations, Shalanta will drive you mad, okay? But if you think, see, there is always a negative voice and there is a positive voice in your head, okay? So one part of you will be saying, oh my God, I'm going to die. And the second part of you will say, you know what? I can self-isolate. The rate of recovery is much more than the rate of mortality. I have done many hard things in the past. I can do this too. So you turn the spotlight on the helpful thoughts and you mute the unhelpful thoughts.
Okay. And okay.
It requires discipline.
Yes, exactly. What you just said, it took me a while to actually process that. There's someone I know who I'm thinking of who I can probably
So
work.
Shalanta, being solution focused, and see, solution focused are not two empty words, okay? It comes with practice. And the more you practice it every single day, where you refuse to cave into the negative voice and you only listen to the positive voice in your head, both the dialogues are engineered by you. If you train, then the language of solution focus, like how your English and Hindi is, it will get seeped into your bones, and every atom, every molecule, every fiber of yourself will be solution focused. You will automatically be allergic to negative thoughts.
Thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned, this will come with practice. Okay, we have a few questions for kids and children. I'm just going to give, address this one to you. That's with regards to parents and adults. How do we deal with parents, adults who never acknowledge what you do selflessly for them and only complain, especially to others? I think I can connect this with some of the kids as well. So, anything that you have to say?
Say that again.
How do we deal with parents, adults who actually, I'm going to add children here as well, who never acknowledge what you do selflessly for them and only complain about whatever you do? And in India, they're pretty good at appreciating what others do for them, but they do not really look towards what you're doing for them, thoughtlessly and selflessly. So how do you deal with that?
No, I mean, there is an ouch factor. There is definitely an ouch factor. And I think there is a concept which is known as healthy selfishness. And healthy selfishness comes in the realm of a mathematical equation. Okay? If I do something for you and you do not reciprocate my kindness in equal measure, I'm going to back off. Because I would be foolish to keep pouring my kindness into you and keep trying to make you happy if you do not reciprocate. Okay, so I will do you a favor, but if you don't return the favor when I need it, I'm going to back off.
So you're saying this would work with kids as well? No, this is for adults is what you're talking, because we hope that they are able to reason in logic.
Even with children, I think, somewhere you need to recognize that, am I being a parent or am I trying to win a congeniality contest? So if you can look at yourself in the mirror and you know what you're doing is right. So if you say, I'm sorry, I cannot let you out late night, say 1 a.m. And they say, you're such a bad mother, you're such a bad father, others are so cool, others allow it, I hate you. That's okay, so be it. But when they grow up, in fact, not even when they grow up, they will actually turn around and say, or in the therapy room, they tell us privately, I am glad my parents put these boundaries. So they will actually appreciate that you put these boundaries and these limits, because that's character building.
I think introspection, we feel that ourselves. When we're younger, we know that as we grow up, that we are glad our parents did that.
It's very painful when they say, I hate you, you're horrible, other moms are so much cooler. But you do what you have to do.
Okay. Binaifer, you'd want to take anything from the chat box? Can you see that? Should I read out something from there? I'll do that.
Yeah.
Occasionally, a child will do something in public which will be severely embarrassing. One can explain later that it's inappropriate, but at that moment, what do you do, or how do you deal with that?
See, again, it's the same thing. Let's say the child does something extremely inappropriate, like gives a gali or touches himself inappropriately or whatever, okay? I think it is very important that you are concerned with how you will deal with it with the child, rather than what are people going to say, because this log kya kahenge is not a very helpful concept. Okay, log to kahenge bhi aur bhul bhi jayenge. So you do what you have to do without damaging the psyche of your kid. So it's very important that you don't lose your cool and you don't make your kid feel terrible and say things that you will regret. So in a very calm way, you have to explain that this is not done, it is not appropriate, but don't worry about what people think.
So basically, our kid is the priority there, rather than the comments and rather than what anyone else thinks about us. Okay.
How does it matter? How does it matter?
That's something, but by the way, again, it comes with practice. You need to kind of wire the way you actually think, rewire actually the way you do.
No, there is an ouch factor. It definitely pinches, and all of us like to think of ourselves as perfect, okay? But it's not a perfect world, and things will get goofed up. So, I mean, your kid is far more important than what people think.
What other people think, absolutely. How to deal with kids developing a habit of lying about, pretty often. So every small little thing. That's
How old are we talking about?
We do not have the age mentioned, but
Okay.
okay.
So
Is
if
there
your
a
kid,
difference in the age group, if I have to look at it in terms of line?
okay, so if your kid is 3 and 4 and they're talking about a fantasy friend, which is very common, or saying I didn't do it, the teddy bear ate the cookie, or something like that, it's not that the child is lying. In fact, fantasy building is a part of their cognitive development. Okay, but if a 8-year-old or a 9-year-old is telling something which is
Yeah, I think our
true,
viewers mentioned 10 to 11 years old.
so then that comes in the realm of lying. Then it is time for you to reflect and wonder why. What is it that you are doing that is scaring the kid from coming out with the truth? So maybe if you back off and you don't threaten punishment and you don't appear to be so strict and punitive, I mean, there has to be consequences. So supposing if your kid has gone and added a 1 before the 0, okay, obviously they'll get caught. So you say, I'm deeply disappointed in you, but please tell me the truth. And if you confess, you have to encourage and praise their honesty. But consequences will be there.
Okay.
So it is working towards realization. But you won't spank the kid. That you won't do.
Thank you, Binaifer. I think we'll take this one last question here. How to console a child who is so adamant and hyper sometimes? I think that's something that.
Who's so adamant and hyper?
Hyper.
You mean
Yeah. So I think I'm probably maybe what the person is trying to say is stubborn, we're difficult to reason out.
Are you saying console, or how do you deal with the hyper?
How to console a child who's
console,
so.
I've already said, where you hug the kid and you rock the kid and you keep calm. That I've already said.
Okay.
But if your question is how do you deal with a hyperactive child, to deal with a hyperactive child, especially in lockdown, is extremely challenging because our playgrounds have been taken away from our children. Our gymkhanas have been taken away. The PT period from school has been taken away. So where are children supposed to exercise their excessive energy? So it is very important.
And now with COVID, I even know that, the kids are also restricted to,
and they have tiny homes, and you are expected to sit in front of the computer and do your online classes. It's very, very difficult. So to the maximum extent possible, if you could encourage them to do physical activities, like jump in a spot or run, even if there's a little corridor or a tiny little balcony, because we live in small houses. We don't have the luxury of space. Or if there is a terrace, where they can play with the bat and ball or kick a ball around. At least 1 hour compulsory of physical activity needs to be there. And even in their class, when the class gets over, 5 minutes of standing up, walking around, stretching, having a drink, having a snack, that's important.
Okay, but I think we can take this one last one here. I know I said last before. We'll end with this one. If my child 5.5 is very anxious about meeting people, taking classes, how do I push her enough to build resilience, but not driving her to anxiety in order to socialize?
Don't push her. Don't push her. She will talk when she's good and ready. It's like you are in the elevator and somebody will say, "What is sweet child, beta? What is your name?" And your kid looks down and you say, "Speak, speak." Don't do that. That's creating greater anxiety, And don't. So just leave the kid alone. And you won't. And if you say she's very shy, you are reinforcing, that you are a shy kid and you're not capable of speaking up. So just let the kid be. The kid will answer when they're good and ready. So sometimes, when I'm doing play therapy with kids, very, very shy kids, it's like pulling a tooth out would be easier than pulling their word out, But as you're talking, as you're playing, as you're drawing, whatever it is that you're doing in play therapy, when the kid is ready, suddenly the kid will pop up with the answer. So in the middle of the story, in the middle of the drawing, and it's almost like you're lip reading the child. And then you ask something more and something more. See, the child has to trust you. The child has to trust the adult. You have to earn the confidence of the child. And that can only come with rapport building. If you're going to be smudging the person's face and say, talk, 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 or talk, talk, the kid is not going to talk. So relax, back off, and when the kid is ready, they will talk.
Meaningful, Binaifer. Thank you so much. I think a lot of it has gotten
Is
me
it,
also
is
thinking
it
in the way.
possible for me to say something,
Yes,
Shalanta?
Dr.
Kumi,
Kumi,
there you are.
welcome.
Yay!
Yeah, I think it was an amazing, absolutely balanced kind of start, a perfect curtain raiser to the Parenting Summit. I'm so glad we have you as a speaker today, because I'm sure the parents will agree with me that you've given extremely sound and wonderful advice. And all your examples, everything have resonated at a very, very deep level with me. I would just like to ask you one major question, perhaps the last, Shalanta. Binaifer, are you planning
I
to
have
write
a question. Wait. How are you?
Oh, never mind that.
Kumi, my God. No.
Never mind that. But Binaifer, are you planning to write a book? Because I think what a lot of parenting books that I have read have been rather one-sided. Whereas what you are doing is something very, very sensible, grounded, and the scholarship is absolutely evident. So at some point, perhaps you might consider writing a book. If you
Kumi, I
haven't
don't.
already.
I don't think people read books. I mean, I do contribute to psychological journals, but I think today's generation, even the younger parents, I'm talking about uh, the new parents who are going to be, say, like your daughter-in-law. I don't know about your daughter-in-law, but I'm saying that, the new parents, they don't read. Nobody reads books. What people read it's more of YouTube videos and blogs and stuff like that.
I agree there, but when it comes to scholarship and sound advice from someone who is an expert in that field, I don't normally use the word expert. If somebody uses it for me, I say, no. It means I'm brain dead. That's not the sense I'm using it in. But I think if you write a book, we'll release it at the parenting seminar. How about that? The parenting summit
Okay,
in
I think
Jan.
I'll mull over it. I'll mull over it. But Kumi Baba, you take care of yourself. Huh? I mean, you are an amazing person, popping in here with all your pain. Awesome.
Okay, thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kumi, but I'll think about your suggestion, certainly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sahukar, for your detailed, thoughtful, and heartfelt responses. The cherry on the icing was Dr. Vivina's presence after the entire cake that you built for all of us. Thank you, Shalanta, for that wonderfully led Q&A. As we draw closer towards the end of the session, I call upon Ms. Ruchita Darsha to propose the vote of thanks.
Hello, everybody. Hello, can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Yamini. I'm Ruchita Darsha, and I run a community called First Forms Club. And Ms. Sahukar, I can say this was an amazing session as a mother myself, and as someone who runs a community for mothers. I think it was so insightful. I'm going to go back and share all these things, and I'm sure I'm going to forget a lot of these points. So like Dr. Kumi said, please do write a book, do write more blogs. I think we could all do with a lot of sound advice and the way you said that trust your gut instinct. I think a lot of mothers need to believe in that. So thank you once again. You've certainly set the tone for our action-oriented Global Tipping Point Summit, Rethinking Parenting in Jan 2021. And since this summit is planned as an annual event, we hope you will agree to continue the association with us. And of course, our thanks goes out to all the participants who joined us today for this curtain raising session, for all the interesting questions. So do register and encourage others also to sign up for the Education Summit. That is from the 20th of November to 13th December this year, and the Parenting Summit, which will be from the 8th to the 31st of Jan. It'll be at the same time, 4 to 5:30, and both are scheduled only for weekends. I think our registrations will open in the third week of this month. And since we need you to work with us to bring about the change that we all want to see. And our next session, which is on Sunday, 18th October, at the same time, 4 to 5:30, we will have the youth forum in the form of a discussion with students led by Dr. Kumi and Ms. Deepa Soman. So Please be there, do register. And since we're striving to better education and parenting for the next generation, we think it's necessary to hear their views. So do join us. Till then, stay safe, stay at home, stay blessed.